continue wherever we left off in the morning. That is, to go ahead with number conversions. Morning itself, when we took binary number, octal number, and hex number, we have actually done the conversion. One-way conversion we have done. You see, when we took this number 1, 2, 3 to the base 16, actually I got converted this number into equivalent decimal value and given the value here. Only thing is this 16 has to be changed to 10. Similar conversion here I have done this hex number, I converted to decimal number. Similar conversions we have done in the morning. We should be able to do a reverse conversion and conversion from one number system to another system. In fact, this all will be, I think, the lab and all that we will be doing in a way tomorrow onwards. Now, binary to decimal, just for completeness, I have shown one conversion. You just use the positional ways and do a conversion. Now, 1 into 2 raised to 3. So this will be 1 into 2 raised to 3 plus 1 into 2 raised to 2 plus 0 into 2 raised to 1. Then what comes beyond the binary point? 2 raised to minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4 like that. Okay. So this is a converted value. Converted decimal value. Now the decimal to binary conversion is not so explicit or easy. The basic reason is we are more comfortable with decimal number and not binary number. But I think it is really very interesting. You just get a feel and do this. You can try. See, it is like this. A number in binary form is represented like this. Okay, a number is value of the bit 0 or 1 raised to 2 raised to multiplied by 2 raised to k, okay, and so on. That is how I just take only an integer number. Just for an illustration, I take an integer number. So that is how the number is represented. Okay. If I got a decimal number, my job is to decide the values of this bk, bk minus 1, etc., etc. That's what I have to do if I got a decimal number. Now, b0, I know b0 is left out here. Okay. B0 is easy to determine. If the number is even, B0 is 1. Is it alright? If the number is odd, B0 is 0. If the number is, B0 is 1. I told you the other way around. So, if the number is odd, B0 is 1. If the number is even, B0 is 0. Okay. So B0 is easy to determine. Take a decimal number, determine B0. Divide the number by 2. Divide the number by 2. If the remainder is 1, it's an odd number. You go on doing this repeatedly, it will determine B2, B3, etc., etc. The last remainder will be BK. Just see here, I take a number 103. 103 divided by 2, as you know it's an odd number, it gives me a remainder of 1. So the lowest bit is 1. When I divide by 2, I get 51. When I divide by 2, I get the next remainder as 1. 25, 12, 6, 3, after that I get a 1 here, so this is 1. That gives me the binary number. Okay? Just blindly go on dividing by 2, take the remainder, assign the value of the binary bit. Okay? Alright? It's okay? Incidentally, this is a procedure for any binary, any number system. Suppose I got a decimal number, I want to get its equivalent value to a number, to a base 7. I got a decimal number, I want to get its equivalent value in a number system to the base 7. I'll simply divide it by 7777 the remainders I put in line, that will give the number in number system with base 7. Okay, you can just try that. This is as far as integer is concerned. I given a check, got back the number. Success. The fractional part conversion, just as you are dividing the number by 2 repeatedly, you multiply by 2 because there are already powers of 2 raised to minus 1. You go on multiplying by 2 and see the spillover beyond binary point. That gives the number. Just see. I taken here a decimal number 0.372. I multiply by 2. I get this. I don't get a spillover here. So this bit value is 0. 0.744. I don't get a spillover. Next, if I take this, I get a spillover. The spillover is 1. That will decide this. I continue as much as we said. I get this as equivalent binary number. Is alright? Procedure is okay? You go on multiplying by 2. Whatever spills over beyond the binary point, that will be the digit position. Bit value. I hope I done a check here. I not done the check. Very safe. If you want, we can try this. Zero point 1, right? One more. Okay, I can turn. So this will give me, I put it here, 0.010111. This will give me 0 multiplied by 0.5. This will give me 1 multiplied by 0.25. This will give me 0 multiplied by 0.125. This will give me 0.0625. Okay, this will give me 0.03125. 0.015625. I don't know how far I have gone. Okay. If I add up all this, I will get here a 5. Seven, 0.25 at the hand. So that will give me 0.0 359375. We started off with 372. Just see the accuracy. It will build up accuracy if we continue for 1 or 2 more mistakes. Yeah. You have to put 1 or 2 more ones, then you may get closer to that. See, it is like this. With every bit you are only adding the value. It is not subtracting. So this will be always less than this. Okay. It's alright. Something. It will not exceed that number. No, you see, I cannot have a negative value here, no, only 1 or 0. So it will just go on approaching that. Alright. Actually, it's very interesting to see, look at one thing. Some numbers which are recurring numbers in one number system will not be recurring in another. If you take an irrational number in one number system, in another number system it will be irrational number, and so on. If you take root 2 as a radix, you take root 2 as a radix. Just you see here, we feel that numbers 0, 1, 2, they are all integers. You have got integers. This has nothing to do with our work. You have got integers. You have got rational numbers. You have got irrational number. Integer means now 1, 2, 3, etc. Here 35 by 42. Just any number which can put us a ratio of 2 integers is a rational number. Other side, square root of 2 is an irrational number. Pi is an irrational number. In the decimal number system, these are irrational numbers. But suppose I take a number system for which I take root 2 as a radix. I had confusion. You take a number system for which you take root 2 as a radix, you will find all these will be irrational numbers. Pi may be irrational. In root 2 system, pi will be irrational. So what is rational, what is irrational, it is relative. In number system at least. You understand? It is relative. I feel this is rational, you feel it is irrational. In number systems. Back here. So the general procedure is convert the integral and fractional part separately and combine the results. That is, for integral part, you have to go on dividing. For fractional part, you have to go on multiplying. And then combine the two. Octal to decimal conversion. Okay, this is clear. This is just repetition of whatever you have done earlier, except intentional mistakes done by us, like, for example, here it should be 8 raised to minus 3. Otherwise, what? No. The ownership is mine, not yours. Don't think too much of yourself. Okay, just so the procedure is clear. Okay? Now, decimal to octal, the procedure, same thing as we did with binary number. I have taken this number 103, divided by 8. When I divide by 8, I get 12 here. I get remainder 7. I divide 12 by 8, I get a 1 as the quotient, 4 as a remainder. I divide 1 by 8, I get 0 as a quotient, 1 as a remainder. So the converted number is 7 at the rightmost position, 4, 1. This is a converted number. This decimal number has this octal equivalent value. It's okay? Alright. We are doing this because our familiarity with decimal number is more. If I have to do a decimal to octal conversion, I divide by 8. If I have octal to decimal conversion, octal to decimal, it will be 1 into 8 raised to 2 plus 0 into 8 raised to 1 plus 3 into 8 raised to 0. That gives me 64 plus 3, 67. It's alright? Four 7 to base 8 equal to 8 raised to 2 plus 4 into 8 raised to 1 plus 7 into 8 raised to 0. (64) plus 32, 96, 103. So this 10. Okay. Now, if I want to do in a roundabout manner, what I will do is, I put here the octal number 147. I will divide it by 10 in octal form. 10 in octal form is 1, 2. Am I right? Okay, I suppose I am familiar with only octal number. I want to convert to decimal form. I will do this. So I will get here 1, 2, 7. I don't. You can continue. You should end up with what? 1 or 3. Am I right? Okay. I've done a similar thing here. This is called the double method. Okay, 0.372 multiplied by 8. The spillover beyond the octal point, it is 2. Next again multiplied by 8, spillover is 7. And so on. So this decimal number is equal to this octal number. You can check up that. If I combine the two, I get, so I have done the conversion on either side of the radix point separately, and I have combined. Incidentally, the error here is of the order, see here, 8 raised to minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, minus 5, minus 6. So that is the order of the error. The error you will get to be of the order of 8 raised to minus 6. The error of the conversion. That is hex to decimal. We have gone through this earlier. Decimal to hex. Only thing is when you go for hex conversion, the number is much more compact than the other cases. I have taken 1436 divided by 16. I got this as 89 as a quotient. The remainder is 12 in decimal form. In hex form it is C. Okay, in hex form it is C. Again I divided by 16. I get quotient as 8, remainder 9. In hex 5, so this decimal number is equal to this hex number. I done the number part beyond the radix point. So that gives, by the same procedure, it gives this number 0.9453 to the base 10. This to the base 10, we have to correct this, is equal to this to the base 16. That 16 and 10 should be suffixes. Whatever is clear and correct, I have put as way of projection. Whatever is a mistake, that is my job to point out here. I may not point out immediately. So combining the two, that's what we get. Hex to binary. Okay, here I said spend some time. So as far as hex to decimal and reverse conversions, if I take hex to binary, you see it is completely simple. If I take this number 59.529 F2, 59.F2, I will take each of the hex digits. For example, this hex digit 5, it is actually 5 into 2 raised to 4. Okay? Is all right? Actually, 59.F2, 59.F2 hex number is actually equal to 5 into 16 raised to 1 plus 9 into 16 raised to 0 plus F into 16 raised to minus 1 plus 2 multiplied by 16 raised to minus 2. That's the number. That's the number. Now, actually, this is equal to 5 into 2 raised to 4 plus 9 into 2 raised to 0 plus F into 2 raised to minus 4 plus 2 into 2 raised to minus 8. This is equal to, this 5 is nothing but 0 plus 2 raised to 2 plus 0 plus 2 raised to 0. Am I right? Is all right? Multiplied by 2 raised to 4. 0 into 2 raised to 3 plus 1 into 2 raised to 2 plus 0 into 2 raised to 1. This is actually, I am putting it as 0 into 2 raised to 3 plus 1 into 2 raised to 2 plus 0 into 2 raised to 1 plus 1 into 2 raised to 0. This number 5 I convert into binary form. This x number I put like this first. Then everything from x directly I am converting to binary form. 5 into binary form. This 16 in binary form. Same way 9 in binary form, 16 binary form. So that will give me 9 is actually 8 plus 1. So that will give me 2 raised to 3 plus 2 raised to 0 into 2 raised to 0 plus 2 raised to 3 plus 2 raised to 2 plus 2 raised to 1 plus 2 raised to 0 multiplied by 2 raised to minus 4 plus this last one will give me 2 raised to 1 into 2 raised to minus 8. I'm sure I bungled somewhere. I'm wondering where I bungled. We will see. Now the converted value will be, see here, this gives me 2 raised to on the board very fast. With conference, nobody knows what is a mistake. So this will give me 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, point 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1. But that's not the same as what I put here. Right? 1 0 where? So here there are 4 ones. Here I put how many? Yeah, correct. One more 0 is there. That's okay. There's no. Actually, here I put last as 2 raised to minus 7. I should have put a 2 raised to minus 8 and introduce the 0. It's okay. In something I don't know. It's okay to mind. So the binary to X conversion, sorry, the other way around, X to binary is easy. You are just directly you have just to convert. Same way we can do with octal. Same way you can do from binary to hex also. See, this is binary to hex, and the same number I have taken and converted to hex form. You see here I have done a grouping. All that you have to do, binary to hex is, I think, should be even simpler. See, these 4 binary bits you have to take and group together, because 4 bits, binary bits together form a hex number. So these 4 I have grouped together and put here. These 4, here there is a 0, I have grouped together. Same way, these 4 and then those 4. Now it is easy to write. This is actually 9. So 9 into 16 raised to 0. This is a 5. 5 into 16 raised to 1. That's an F. F into 16 raised to minus 1. This is just a 2. 2 into 16 raised to minus 2. So we have successfully got back the original number. It's okay. Octal to binary is similar. Only is of groups of 3, 4. You have to put groups of 3. Same way binary to octal, groups of 3. Okay. Conversion with other bases is something. It's okay. Conversion to other base is not so easy. I just given an illustration. This is a number to the base 7 I have taken. Just to convert into decimal form. That is easy, so I put it here. If you get a 9 this side, it's a new number system. See here, some 5. Okay, I've taken a number, conversion to the base 5. Okay, combine this. The number, we are just shown, say, decimal part, what is that? On either side of that, I converted separately by multiplying, dividing, and just beyond the total one. I think that's all. Kumar, what do we do now? Escape. Escape. There is no change. File, open, my documents. ERP. Thank you. We shall continue. It's okay? Okay. Yes, we continue. It's okay. Is actually Greek school of philosophy. UK 5. Oh, I see. It's a bit slow here. Starting with Socrates, Aristotle and all that, the Greek school of philosophy is supposed to have put philosophy on a firm footing. As Indians or Chinese, we feel we are way ahead of all of them in their philosophy. I think they also have an equal right to think that they are bigger. Anyway, that's a separate issue. But they are starting from Socrates. You make a statement. You make a good statement. Say the afternoon is hotter than the forenoon time. You say yes or no. Afternoon is hotter, in summer afternoon, winter afternoon, etc. Or afternoon in Europe, afternoon in India. Yeah, every statement, any statement, God is great, God is truth. Truth is this, God is that. Then you just go ahead. So all whatever statements you make, you convert into equivalent statements where you can examine the statement in terms of yeses and nos. Based on that, you try to establish the truth of the various statements. You try to establish what are the assumptions you are making in your, maybe your approach to life, approach to philosophy. You try to minimize the total assumptions you are making, and you try to maximize the span and spread of your philosophy, so that with minimal number of assumptions you are able to, cover a very wide area of aspects of life, and so on. That is the basic approach the Greek philosophy followed, and European philosophy have been doing it over the ages. It has been going on for centuries. But sometime in the 18th century or so, this Boole, he evolved what is called Boolean algebra. In that algebra, just as we are having number algebra, in Boolean algebra, he said, Boolean logic, he said, a state has only an activity or something you are doing has only two states, yes or no, true or false. So he conceived a world where a statement or an activity, whatever you think of, it has only two states. Based on that, the whole of logic was built up based on that. Boolean logic, Just yes, no, just beat upon that. One is on the philosophy side. From that there's an abstraction. The abstraction is that of Boolean logic. The logic only makes room for only yes, no type of answers. Just only yes, no, nothing else. Sometime by turn of last century, that's about 100 years back, this Bertrand Russell, okay, I think Bertrand Russell and Python. Bertrand Russell in UK, he brought a synergy. The basis of mathematics, he identified with Boolean logic. Actually, I may not be very right, very rigorously, because I don't know those details. Only some popular books I have read. And it is considered to be a revolutionary development. That is about 100 years back, Bertrand Russell and one more man, I think Whitehead, they put mathematics on a firm footing by combining with logic, which is considered to be a landmark work by them. Thereby, if you just look at, how the mathematicians look at mathematics, like in terms of, number theory, starts off with number theory. Just, he said that whatever you do here, there's an equivalence in Boolean logic. That's on one side, as far as the theoretical side is concerned. Sometime in the around 1940, this gentleman called Shannon, is one of the greatest electronics engineers, or maybe he's a mathematician. In MIT, he was an M.Tech, equally MS student, and he did an MS project. MS project is just a 3-month project. Those days, MS course was a 1-year course. He did an MS project. That MS project, he says, I think some 25 pages or so. I gone through the thesis. If I go through the thesis, I feel it's very trivial, all nonsense. There's nothing. It's just saying that, you put a switch that is on, put off a switch that is off. Beyond that, there's nothing. I don't say anything. But that is a landmark thesis. He said that electrical circuits, Shannon said that electrical circuits you're turning on and off. You're turning on an electrical circuit and turning it off. It is equivalent to a corresponding Boolean algebra statement where you say something is true, yes or no. This is what he said. So, in Boolean algebra, which was established about 100 years back, there are a number of theorems and functions, etc. They are defined very great detail. Shannon said that whatever Boolean algebra as theorem is available to you, every one of them you can look at as a corresponding electrical circuit, something being on, something being off, one combination, another combination. He just did that as his 2 months MS thesis. There is a very short thesis, which was a landmark achievement for an engineer. That is the genesis of identifying number systems with Boolean algebra, and in a way, it is the whole of computer system, digital systems, etc., etc. He did the necessary groundwork by that MS thesis. Okay. There are 2 MS theses. I think one is de Broglie. I think de Broglie's work for Nobel Prize is also something like an MS thesis, some 15-20 pages. The basic work in physics by de Broglie is just only 2 pages. But that earned the Nobel Prize, that made a difference. Only when you don't have much of matter for thesis, you make a very big thesis. Mine is about 300 pages. So, Boolean algebra, the old days, the Greek philosophers, they examined statement, they said true or false. Boole gave new meanings to this. He said a logic variable can have 2 states, yes or no. 2 states or values, yes or no. True or false. Shannon related this to logic. Just see here, I put different combinations. A circuit is on, a circuit is off. Whereas in Boolean algebra, in binary number system, see here, in Boolean algebra, you have got a Boolean variable. It has values or states, yes or no, true or false. In binary number system, you have got a bit. The basis of a binary number system is a bit. It takes values 0 or 1. So you have got the Greek philosophy, you have got Boolean algebra to derive from philosophy. We need not worry about philosophy. The abstraction from that is Boolean algebra. Boolean algebra, whatever result you have got, whatever you study as a logic item, there's an exact one-to-one correspondence in binary number system. That's what matters for us. So, suppose I want to do an addition. When I do an addition, subtraction, multiplication, every one of the activities that I want to do in binary algebra, I can look at it as a corresponding Boolean logic function. Now, for us, luckily, in electronics, I have got circuits for doing every one of the Boolean algebraic functions. There is a Boolean algebraic variable, there is a Boolean algebraic function. To do every one of the Boolean functions, I have got a circuit in electronics. So, if I want to do binary algebra, what are the binary algebra activities I want to do? I identify, I look at the corresponding Boolean function, I realize a circuit. What I mean is, any binary algebra I want to do, I can do by electronic circuit. Any algebra I want to do with decimal numbers, I'll identify as algebra with binary numbers, circuit, and then go back to decimal numbers. That lays the basis for the computer work. Is okay? Now these are the different nomenclatures used for Boolean variable. Some people say true and false, T and F, high and low, yes and no, 1 and 0, on and off. Depending on how you look at it, you can use one or the other. The number of theorems and results of Boolean algebra, all of them can be directly used in binary number systems. So you should be able to feel as to what we are, what you are aiming at, how we are proceeding. You should get a feel of Boolean algebra. You should get a feel of Boolean algebra. Do you know about binary number system? Do you know decimal number system? Do you know conversion from decimal to binary? Binary to decimal. Knowing the conversion from binary to decimal and reverse, knowing Boolean algebra, I'll be able to do every one of the number operations, I'll be able to identify as a corresponding Boolean operation. Realize, circuits, computer, go wide with that. Now, with Boolean functions, there's a simple thing. If you take a mathematical abstraction theorem, if you put, you have to prove a theorem. It's a conventional method, either by deduction or whatever is that. With Boolean algebra, it is not necessary. You put all sorts of states and examine, and if it satisfies, the theorem is true. That is called a truth table. Okay, I'll just come to that. It is completely easy compared to conventional mathematics. Tabulate all possible input values, output values, the function is truly specified. Now, in Boolean algebra, there are only limited number of functions. One is an OR function, another is an AND function, and an OR function. These are, NOT function. These are the basic three functions used in Boolean algebra. OR, AND, and NOT. Any and every one of the, okay. It's alright, I'll continue. Any and every one of the other functions you can express in terms of these. Because there are only two values for the variable, there are limited functions. In terms of that, you can realize, in terms of these three, you can realize any other function. However, there are three other functions which are equally commonly used. One is a NAND function, it is the NAND function, NOR function, XOR function. These three are very commonly used. So we'll just go through these functions briefly. Now, for every one of the functions, I can realize using an electronic circuit. I got two Boolean variables. I have a function in terms of Boolean variables. I want to realize a function. I got a circuit for that. Such a circuit is called a gate. A gate, an electronic gate, is a circuit that realizes a logic function. Okay, I think we have to be familiar with the terminology. A gate is nothing but a circuit that realizes a logic function. I got an AND gate, I got OR gate, NOT gate, XOR gate, etc. I take a simple case. First is a NOT function. The NOT function, we put like this. If I give A as an input to a function block, it gives an output Y. A and Y are related like this. Y equal to A bar. We put A bar. Complement of A. A bar is complement of A. What I mean is amplified by the truth table. Input A, there's only two values, the logic variable. Only two values, 0 and 1. Output Y is the complement of that. So if input is 0, output is 1. Input is 1, output is 0. Just the reverse. That is a NOT function. Whatever you are giving input, output is the reverse of that. Now there are four representations of the NOT function. They are very commonly used for representations. The bubble, that shows the NOT action. Here, there's a bubble here, you can put a bubble here or at the input side. The bubble is put at the output side or at the input side. All four are commonly used for NOT functions. A NOT function is possibly the simplest of the Boolean function you can realize. So I can put it as a NOT function. Circuit, I can put it as a NOT gate. This is a NOT gate. This is a NOT gate. Or it is also called an invert gate. NOT function or invert function. Both are same. This is a two input AND function. A NOT function has only one input, one output. Any function has only one output, just like mathematics, conventional mathematics. A function has only one output. It can have one or more inputs. A NOT function has only one input. A AND function, the simplest AND function, will have two inputs. It is represented like this. If A and B are two inputs, Y is the output, Y is A dot B. That's how you represent a simple AND function. I given the possible input values, the output value. Input value A is 0, B is 0, output is 0. Output will be 1 only if both inputs are 1. That's the characteristic of an AND function. If this is 1 and that is 1. If A is 1 and B is 1, then only Y will be 1. That's the AND function. This is the gate for representation for the AND function. We need not go into the details about this at all. We can work with whatever we want to do without knowing the internal details of the circuit. This is a typical representation of an AND function. A and B, output is Y. Now, this is a truth table of the AND function. This is a truth table of the AND function. This is a concise form of truth table of the AND function. Here what I mean is, when A is 1, B is 1, output is 1. That is ditto, same as this line. Here, this shows that when B is 0, whatever be the value of X, A, output is 0. That's what the X implies. It's called a don't care case. I don't care. I don't care what is the value of A. If B is 0, output is 0. Is all right? It is like I have a pipe in which water is to flow. I have a pipe in which water is to flow. Here there is a valve. This valve is A. Here there is another valve. This valve is B. Whether this is open or closed. As long as this is closed, I won't get a flow. Whether it is 0 or 1, as long as this is 0, there is nothing. I get flow only if both are open. That's what the implication is. Same way, if A is 0, I don't care what the value of B, Y is 0. So when I put like this, it is maybe more concise. Same truth table, put in a slightly more concise form. This is basically the two input AND function. We can continue for some time, another 10 minutes, until we get tea. I can extend the concept, multiple inputs and functions. Y is A and B and C. The output is true only if all the inputs are true. Okay, I just given a practical statement. The judgment is valid if every one of the jury is unanimous in the decision. Okay, so and so will be hanged only if every one of the jury agrees that he or she should be hanged. That's an equivalent of an AND function. Very rigorous statement. Everyone has to agree. All the walls are to be closed. Then I get a flow outside. It is similar to that. Only in that case, output is true. So I can have 3 input AND gate, 4 input AND gate, and so on. Next is OR function. This is a symbol for the OR function. This is a representation for the OR function. This symbol represents OR activity, A or B. Y equals A or B. That gives the truth table. The OR function is like this. Output is 0 only if both inputs are 0. A has to be 0, B has to be 0, then only output will be 0. A has to be 0, B has to be 0, then only output will be 0. If I take the equivalent case here for OR function, there are 2 tubes. There's a valve here, there's a valve here. A, B. There's a common supply source. Okay, that's output side. Only if both the valves are closed, I won't get a flow. This should be closed, this should be closed, then only I won't get a flow. Alright? Electrical circuit. If this switch is open, this switch is open, only if both are open, I won't get a supply here. Alright? Here, I will get a supply only if both are closed. That's an AND operation. It's an OR operation. Is alright? For OR operation, this statement is important. For AND operation, this statement is important. This conveys everything. Clearly, that conveys everything. For OR operation, the other thing conveys everything. If I just go down, if B is 1, whatever is the status of A, output is 1. If this is open, whether it's open or closed, I get a float here. Similarly, if A is 1, whatever is the status of B, output is 1. So that's a representation for the gate. We can extend the concept for multiple inputs. Output is true if at least one of the inputs is true. That's a statement. If any one is true at the input side, output is true. If any one is yes, output is yes, and so on. The judgment is valid if at least one of the jury favors it. So this is something like French law. The British and French always make fun of each other. So Britain feels that every British man feels he is more refined than the French. So he says, as far as my jury is concerned, if every one of the jury agrees only, the prisoner will be, or the culprit will be hanged. And he says, the French law says that if at least one jury says, cut off his head, the head will be cut off. That's how the Englishman looks at the French law. I think the French law, they have a way of looking things. So the OR gate is something like this. If any one jury says, you shoot him, he shall be shot. It is equal to saying, darkness dispelled by a single light. In the whole room, if there is one light, that is enough to dispel the darkness. Okay, one Amma is enough to enlighten the whole world. It is something like that. Now, Suma is saying I have no place here. Now, this is called a NAND function, an AND function and a NOT function combined. I have an AND gate here. This is an AND gate. That bubble signifies a NOT. It is actually 2 gates together. It is like the AND gate. A 2 input AND gate. The NOT gate. A, B, Y. That is a NAND gate. NAND gate actually it is simple. And negation. And the negation is called a NAND gate. That's the truth table. You can see here, again this is a statement of importance. Output is 0 only if both inputs are 1. Output is 0 only if both inputs are 1. Otherwise, output is 1. The judgment is invalid only if every one of the jury says yes. Okay. Similarly, I got a NOR function. NOR function, I made a mistake here. It should be y equal to a or b bar. It should be y equal to a or b bar. It is an OR gate with two inputs plus an inverter. It's an OR gate. That's a truth table of an OR gate. Once again, this is the key statement. Output is 1 if and only if both inputs are 0. Otherwise, output is 0. This has to be 0, this has to be 0, then only it will be a 1. Now this NOR gate and NAND gate, they are called universal gates. Basically, using a set of NAND gates, you can realize any function you want. You have only NAND gate. If you have a circuit with only NAND gates, nothing else, you can realize any circuit you want. Same way, you have got only NOR gate, you can realize any circuit. It is not the case with others. If I got OR gates, I can realize any circuit. With some reflection you can make out this. I want to realize a logic function. When I want to realize a logic function, I can do it only with NAND gates. Only NAND gates. I can realize a logic any function using only NOR gates. But if I use the AND gate, I require AND and NOT, or OR and NOT. In this respect, these are called universal gates. These are called universal gates. Any circuit you can realize using them. We have T and then come back here. Okay, please. So what is the question? Escape.